The mysterious, the macabre, the out of this world. The following are real people. They have real stories, and they've had real encounters. Here tonight on Newsworthy, two words and two question marks.
He's alive! Have you checked the children? Get out!
Hey, you. You like jerky, right? Right now, go to Smoking Gun Jerky, Lincoln, Nebraska, on the website. They have over 50 different varieties of jerky, not to mention marinades, instructions, everything you need to make your own jerky at home. Also, use the code Cryptid10 to get a great discount on some amazing products. Cryptid10, Smoking Gun Jerky, Lincoln, Nebraska. Check it out. And now, back to the show. Hello, and welcome back to Newsworthy Encounters. I am super excited. We got an amazing guest here for you tonight on Encounters. Miss Julia Marie is with us. Welcome to the show, Julia.
Oh, I'm so happy to be here, Steve.
Julia is a medium. Is that correct?
Yes,
Yeah, and
among other things. Yeah.
more among other things. And I was so excited. I was reading your website, and I liked some of the things that you said on there about how you help guide people through situations in their life, or if they have a spiritual path or purpose, such as maybe you can teach them to do what you do. Am I reading that right?
You read that correctly. Yes.
That's amazing. So, uh, tell me about, and you have an amazing book, Signals from My Soul. I'm sure that's available everywhere, right?
Well, you can get it on Amazon for sure.
Yeah, that's everywhere.
Pretty much.
If you can get it Amazon, you can get it everywhere. um, tell me about how you understood and become aware that this was your gift, that you had this.
If you're speaking specifically of the mediumship, that unfolded years after my awakening happened to me. The first thing that happened for me was a opening of healing energy. I had spontaneous activation of healing energy back in 1989. I had what's called a series of spiritually transformative experiences, they call them now, but back then I had no idea what was happening to me. And I had round red circles appear on my body where I later found out chakras were. My hands got hot. I had a red stripe start up my back that took weeks to get from the base of my spine all the way up to the top. It was very painful and broke blood vessels in my face. I'm pretty sure it was a Kundalini activation of some sort. I do believe that's probably what it was. I had invisible people show up in my living room and start talking to me. I thought I was going crazy. I mean, what normally sane person wouldn't think they were going a little bit out of their mind? And when I asked the universe for a sign to let me know I wasn't crazy, they put a sign over my house the very next morning that let me know I'm totally sane. This is just a new level of awareness for you, a different way for you to move in the world. You'll get used to it. And then
Wow.
everything unfolded organically over time. So the healing came first. Then came the perception. As I started to work with the healing energy and do hands-on work, I discovered I was sensing things about people kind of as I was working in their energy field. And so then I started doing intuitive readings. somehow I just knew things about people. And then quite a ways into that journey, I'm going to say maybe 15 years, I had an experience where this lady was sitting in front of me at a show, and I was doing a certain kind of spirit art that I did where I put people's guides or their past lives or any other kind of symbolic messages spirit might want to give. I put them on a paper. I called them light family portraits so they could see the beings around them. And I became aware of a smiling face right over this lady's shoulder. It was a man with a square face, dimples in his cheeks, short curly hair, twinkly eyes. And I said to her, "This is not a guide. This is not a past life. I don't know who this is, but I have to put him on your paper." So I sketched him in really lightly, and I told her, "If you don't know who this is, I can cover it up again and we won't ruin the 2 hours I just spent drawing your picture." And when I turned it around and showed her, she took one look at that face and burst out crying. She said, "That's my dad."
Oh.
That's exactly what I did. And so, exactly. I said, "What?" She goes, "That's my father. He's been dead for whatever." And I didn't know what was happening to me, but that was my first encounter with the spirit world, with people that have crossed over. So
Oh,
I
wow.
thought nothing of it. Weeks passed by. People started sitting down at my table, asking me to talk to their loved ones. And I would say, "I'm not a medium. I don't talk to dead people. Go see so and so over there." And I would send them somewhere else. And then I was at a show and an experience happened where three sets of two people, three is an important number to me. When spirit shows me stuff 3 times in a row close by, I pay attention. Three sets of two people sat down in front of me and asked me to do mediumship for them. So I thought, okay, I don't know, I don't have any training, but I'll try. And all three of those were very powerful and profound for the people that came. And then I realized, oh, when I asked spirit to let me do more healing work, I thought they were going to send me hands-on healing clients. And what they sent me were people who were in need of healing some sort of level of relationship with their crossed over loved ones. And the people on the other side were also given an opportunity to say what they needed to say so that they could be cleared, healed, so that they could move on as well. I didn't realize the power of what mediumship could bring until that point.
Wow. So you bring up a couple of like a bazillion questions, obviously.
That's okay.
um, uh, so I do you feel my first question is, do you feel like this gift runs in, or how do I put this? Like runs in the family, or that some families are more open to it than others?
Okay, here's my first major linchpin of my outlook. We're all hardwired to receive information from the unseen realms, every single one of us. So, by saying that, I'm saying everyone has the capacity to connect with loved ones on the other side. Now, it might take some training to be able to connect with loved ones on the other side on behalf of another person, but everybody can do what I do, except I have a lot of training and a lot of practice. So I call it
Okay.
a skill set, not a gift, because I'm
I,
not any different
the
from
reason I
anybody
ask
else.
this, right? The reason I ask this is, as we mentioned a little bit before we went on, I have an aunt that I feel like is very open to and has these connections a lot. Again, not trained. The thing that's most profound, I told you that I moved to Idaho before we came on the air for a job. I was living in Ohio at the time and had came back for Thanksgiving, some holiday, cookout, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And I hadn't even been told that I was making that move yet. And my aunt, she looks at me and she goes, "So, when were you going to tell us?" I looked at her funny and I'm like, tell you what. She goes, about your move out west. And I'm like, Becky, you've lost your mind. I ain't going anywhere. Next day when I got back to work is when they told me, oh, by the way, you're making history for the longest corporate move. We're moving you to Idaho. And I was like, uh, wow. So chills came up in my spine when she said that. Um, and to your thought about being at a show and having a weird experience, I got to share this with you because I think you'll appreciate this. We do a lot of shows with this program because we do Bigfoot festivals and things because we want to talk to people. We don't sell things, we just
Mm-hmm.
interact with people. We do interviews, we talk to people. So I was interviewing this family of paranormal folks. Um, it was a dad, his daughter, a friend, and a friend of his and a friend of hers. And so I'd sit down with the daughter. The dad was still standing there talking to Jerry. And I asked her, I said, when your dad, Brian, was talking, we talked about this. And she looks at me and she goes, and the guy whose name is Danny turns and looks at me. And uh, I was like, what? Oh, so I stopped the recording, which I wish I hadn't stopped the recording. But I stopped the recording. I said, oh, your name's Danny. I'm so sorry. We've interviewed so many people today. I apologize. He said, no, no, no. You don't understand. Brian is my brother who passed 3 months ago. He's just letting me know it's okay. I was like, what? It blew me away. Jerry was
Well,
there. It blew him away. Everybody was dumbfounded except for Danny.
well, that's because Danny knows that the spirit world is very creative and very resourceful, and they will use what I like to call an open channel. Anybody who has any sort of sensitivity at all, and frankly, the fact that you're highly interested in this whole area tells me that you're very likely open. Plus, you have it in your family line. You already told me you have an auntie that is pretty intuitive all on her own. So
Crazy,
the
crazy
fact that
intuitive.
that came out of you was Brian utilizing you literally to do what Danny said, and that is send him a message that he's okay.
Yeah, it
How
was
cool is
bizarre.
that?
I got
It's me
goosebumps
too. Yay!
now.
Yay.
So tell us about your book. Get into it a little bit of the details about it, and then I've got more questions. I talked to several coworkers about this interview, and they were all excited, so they gave me a list of questions to ask you.
Oh boy.
Be prepared.
That's all right. Okay, so the book is the story of my awakening. Now, I wrote this book because I've got a whole other book that's been done for 4 years. It's been beta tested and read, but everybody kept saying, we need to know more about yourself. Because I just wanted to write a book of how everybody's intuitive. Everybody has this. It's not magic, it's not woo-woo. And but when I kept getting the same feedback, you're not talking about yourself in here. We don't know you. So I thought, all right, okay, I guess I need to say some of these unusual things that have happened to me. So I put them in the book. And I also selected different stories from different categories of experience, like following spirit, past lives, dreams, how there can be miracles, healing stuff. So it's like a smorgasbord. It's not just one little bit. And I added in there the principles that they gave me to live my life by. And when I say they, I mean the invisible people that showed up in my living room that I realized I could have a conversation with. So the principles are in there. And I added some tips or some suggestions if somebody was really interested in maybe exploring this area of their world, that they could do that too. So it's for the beginner or the somebody who's on their path. And I believe anybody who's even been on there a while is going to find something of value in the book.
Well, I definitely want to check that out. I unfortunately didn't get a chance to read it beforehand, but I will before our next interview.
That would be
Um,
great.
so Yeah, absolutely. So one of our people that wanted to reach out and ask questions about you. or from you. One of the questions they wanted to know is what happens when a human dies? What happens? Where does that go?
Where does that go? Okay,
We're,
so
we're, we're sorry,
yes,
my cat just
that's
tried to
all
open
right.
my.
So it we are spirit animated form, which means we are made up of physical matter, but frankly, over 99% of us is energy. We may feel like we're solid, but we're mostly energy. And when that animating force is, when the body doesn't function anymore, it continues on. It has its own process, its own evolution. Where does it go? Frankly, I mean, people talk about a veil and they talk about going to heaven, but those people are still here around us. You're just not aware of it. So, where do they go?
Wow.
Well, they're still here.
We had a guest on a few weeks ago. Kevin Hall wrote a book. Who wrote a book called the Signs. The veil is thinner than we think, and he was talking about some of the very same things that you are about how we're energy. How about how those energies that are around us can use us to can show us, can teach us. So
Yep.
it only adds more. I bring that up only because it adds more cooperation to what you're saying.
Yeah. I just say, I personally, I'm doing my best to try and live a life where I don't separate things, where I'm not doing a polarity type thing. So in my world, there is no veil. There's only different
Nice.
levels of awareness or consciousness. Some of them we can see, just like there are frequencies, infrared spectrum, that we can't, our human senses can't pick up, but our non human ones can.
I read an article about a week ago about something very similar to what you just said about how, as perfect as our eye is to allow us to see the things that we see, it still comes down to rods and cones. And the rods and cones that we have are so limited
Yep.
to the hundreds of spectrums that are actually out there that some animals can see better than we can in this form, or we as perfect as our eye is, it still doesn't have it's just so limited in what it can actually see.
But you have what I call soul senses. You have you have a set of physical senses that help you navigate your physical world. And you have a set of non-physical senses that probably when you were a kid, you utilized way more than you do now because you've been conditioned that if you can't see it, hear it, feel it, taste it, or touch it, it's not real. Well, frankly,
Right.
the material world is less real, trust me, than the non material world that we all have access to. So you have a third eye that gives you unlimited vision, but that belongs to your soul or the energetic aspect of your being, and anybody can learn to access that and to utilize that to their benefit.
Wow. That is amazing. It's so deep. I can't wait to have you back where we can talk in depth about those things, because that is great. So one of the other questions that somebody wanted me to ask you
Okay.
is, do the other entities, the other spirits, if you will, or energies, do they always, when they speak to us, have our best interest at heart, or are there those out there that would do harm if possible?
Okay. So I don't do paranormal investigations, so I can't speak to what happens in that realm. I'm strictly a medium who facilitates spirit communication with living people here and their loved ones on the other side. So I've put a nice
Nice.
little fence around things. Now, does that mean that everybody that comes for a communication was a nice person when they were here? No. But here's what happens. In 15 years, I've never had an angry spirit show up and want to yell at somebody who was living. They've
Oh
all
wow, yeah, that
come to
makes sense.
express and I'm getting goosebumps and I want to cry. They've all come to either express regret. Some of them will ask for forgiveness. If it's been a while for the person that's still here, they might even ask for forgiveness, but mostly they're coming to take ownership of how they treated whoever that person was. They're seeking
Okay.
healing just as much as the person that's here.
Wow. That is amazing. And I can believe that. When in a different life, I also did home health, and I never saw someone at the end of life look at their loved ones and say, "Well, I wish I could have worked just 40 more hours." It was always, "I wish I'd spent
I
more
love
time.
you.
I wish I'd done
Exactly.
this. I wish I would have done that."
Yep.
Um, Julia, please give us your website and the title of your book again, and we'll wrap this up because I don't want to spoil a lot of stuff because I really want to get you back on the show for a
And
longer and more in depth show.
that's great. I happy to do so. My website is juliamarie.us. Pretty easy. They can find everything there. And the book is Signals from My Soul, a spiritual memoir of awakening. And I'll wait till we speak again to talk about an offer I have just for your listeners, okay? But
Oh wow, that's a
they can
great.
get the
I
book on
appreciate that,
Amazon.
Julia.
Yeah.
Amazon, find the book, read the book. I'm going to buy the book probably as soon as we hang up because I really want to get into it and get read and be ready to go. But thank you again for joining us tonight on Encounters. And we can't wait to have you back for Newsworthy later, hopefully next month.
All right, and I'm so looking forward to it.
Perfect. And Jerry, if you can't see the light,
Be the light.